Lagos State High Court on Thursday ordered that Chidimma Ojukwu's co-suspects to enter defense over the allegations of criminal conspiracy and killing of Super TV CEO, Michael Usifo Ataga on June 16, 2021 when the deceased media personnel had love-making moments with the then 21-years-old Chidimma Ojukwu, who made 3 separate confessional statements. These: 1. She single-handedly stabbed Ataga to death. 2. She unintentionally stabbed Ataga to death in self-defense during a fight. And 3. She knows nothing about Ataga's death, saying she went out of the hotel room to buy something, only to come back and met the Super TV CEO lifeless with bloodstains in the hotel room. Though the prime suspect, Chidimma Ojukwu, did not make any submission when the case came up on Thursday, but the second and third defendants for Usifo Ataga murder case, Chidimma Ojukwu and Adedayo Quadri, on Thursday presented a no-case submission to court, demanding that the court should dismiss all charges against them. But the prosecution team opposed the application, stating that they have presented full evidence to court that implicated the DAO. Chidimma Ojukwu and Adedayo Quadri have been in prison since 2021 when police brought up allegations that show they are fully involved in the murder of Ataga Usifo. Justice Yetunde Adesunya of the Lagos State High Court, sitting at the Tafawa Balewa Square on Thursday, ordered the 2 Chidimma Ojukwu's co-suspects to open their defense. She and Quadri are facing the first to 8 counts bordering on conspiracy, murder, and stabbing, while her sister, Ojukwu, is facing the 9th count of stealing an iPhone 7 belonging to the late Ataga. The 2 were alleged to have conspired and murdered Ataga on June 16, 2021, by stabbing him several times with a knife in the neck and chest. The incident occurred at number 19 Adewale Ocean Street, Lekki Phase 1, Lagos. According to Punch newspaper, at the resumed hearing of the trial on Thursday, the second and third defendants, who had earlier filed a no-case submission challenging the trial, asked the court to dismiss all charges against them. The second defendant's counsel, Babatunde Busari, and the third defendant's counsel, M.I. Otuaka, argued that the prosecution had failed to establish any material evidence for their clients to enter defense in the case. In his response to the application, the state's prosecution, Yusuf Sule, objected to the submission and urged the court to dismiss the second defendant's no-case submission application. He said, the prosecution has put forward material evidence linking the second defendant to the charges against him. We call upon him to enter his defense. In response to the third defendant's application, the prosecution filed a response on November 27, 2024, as per argument in response to this case. We urge the court to dismiss the application for a no-case submission, as the prosecution has established material evidence of a stolen phone in the case. We, however, call upon the third defendant to enter her defense. Justice Yetunde Adesunya dismissed the no-case submission of the second and third defendants. She ordered them to open their defense. The judge thereafter adjourned the case till February 20, 2025, for continuation of trial. Meanwhile, after nearly 2 years, the autopsy report of Chidimma Ojukwu and Usifo Ataga's murder case was read in court. In line with the testimony of the former Vice-Chancellor of the Lagos State University, Professor John Obafunwa, Usifo Ataga was killed by 2 people and wasn't drugged, as claimed by the police. During cross-examination, Professor Obafunwa stated that the claim by the police that Usifo Ataga was sedated with a death drug, Rohypnol, in a bid to disarm was false. He noted that the quantity of Rohypnol seen in Ataga's bloodstream wasn't enough to sedate him and was insignificant. The forensic pathologist also confirmed that autopsy results revealed that the 2 deadly stabs that killed Ataga were inflicted on his armpit and loss of blood. Professor Obafunwa also noted that a double-edged knife was used during the attack, and there was a high possibility that there were 2 assailants who inflicted the injuries. The former LASU VC further stated that, unlike in other cases, he was unable to visit the crime scene, and the photographs and photos the police sent to him had no connection with the scene. He also debunked the claims of the police that Ataga was restrained during the attack. Instead, he noted that he tried to defend himself, which was why he was stabbed in his palm. Professor Ojukwu also noted that the attack on Ataga was inflicted by a right-handed person. He said this explains why most of the stab wounds and cuts were to the left side of the victim's body. My first contact with the corpse was in July 2021. Death occurred on the 16th of June 2021. I raised alarm with the police on how to conduct an autopsy after over 3 weeks of death. I went further to ask them, is there no scene to visit? Do you have photographs? I had no opportunity to visit the crime scene. The pictures and videos sent to me by the police have no bearing with the scene. It shows just people drinking at a bar, Professor Ojukwu stated. Earlier in 2021, Barrister Franklin Usu, cousin brother to late Super TV CEO, Michael Usifo Ataga, has made statements indicating there is more to the true killer or killers of the media chief executive officer. Barrister Franklin Usu, while speaking in a television program with Crime Fighters reporter, said his cousin brother's hands were tied badly that the rope enters his skin. Barrister Franklin Usu said the suspect, Chidimma Ojukwu, currently helping police in the investigation, could not have been the only one that tied Michael Usifo Ataga and stabbed him to death. Barrister Franklin said Michael Usifo Ataga is the third son out of the 4 children the parents had, adding Usifo Ataga is someone who always liked to do business. He said Michael Usifo Ataga was stabbed at the stomach and the cut was so deep and wide that the mortuary attendant in his presence stuck 2 of his fingers through the hole into the dead body. Franklin said when he looked at the way and manner his cousin brother was stabbed deliberately and repeatedly at the jugular and other parts of the body, he looked at the dead body again 5 times and looked at Chidimma Ojukwu. He concluded it's not possible the 21-year-old lady, as at 2021, was merely the one that carried out the killing. Franklin Usu's statement is considered more important at the moment when many Nigerians and the world were shocked yesterday, 2021, to the media statement credited to the suspected killer, Chidimma Ojukwu, that she knows nothing about the killing of Michael Usifo Ataga. Chidimma Ojukwu, in the most recent interview with Crime Fighters reporter, said she went out to buy some food items and returning to the hotel room, she met Michael Usifo Ataga lifeless on the ground with bloodstains on the bed and other places in the room. She said she could not scream to avoid being arrested. She again admitted that she withdrew money from Ataga bank account via the deceased ATM card after the death has occurred. Chidimma Ojukwu said she changed her clothes before leaving the hotel room on that fateful day because there was blood stain on the former clothes she wore. Chidimma Ojukwu could not give further clarification on how her clothes got stained with blood. It could not also be ascertained if the Crime Fighters reporter was aware of the earlier confessional statements made by Chidimma Ojukwu to other media houses, as there were no questions cross-examining the suspect's former statements and the current U-turn. Osezwe Akondo reports that the suspect Chidimma Ojukwu have submitted 3 versions or accounts over Michael Usifo Ataga death. When Chidimma Ojukwu was paraded before a group of journalists, she admitted killing Michael Usifo Ataga but during a fight. She added that the deceased was even pushing her. Unfortunately, the deceased friend issued a statement dismissing the look at like right to self-defense story of Chidimma Ojukwu, adding that Ataga was tied, forced to provide his company account details and millions of naira was on the process being moved to unknown account until the customer bank blocked the account and terminated the transaction process, and Ataga was subsequently stabbed repeatedly to death. Thereafter, Chidimma Ojukwu, in an interview with NTA reporter, admitted that she tied Michael Usifo Ataga's hands while he was asleep and stabbed him repeatedly to death when argument occurred. The third version, which is the latest of Chidimma Ojukwu accounts, is that she knew nothing about Michael Usifo Ataga's death. She came back to the hotel room and met him lifeless. She secretly left the hotel to avoid arrest.
is Ojukwu Chidimma Adora. Ojukwu Chidimma Adora.
Your name is what?
Ojukwu Chidimma Adora.
Ojukwu Chidimma
Adora.
Adora.
Yeah.
Okay, you're from where?
Abia State.
Abia, which part of Abia?
Arochukwu.
Arochukwu, which part of Arochukwu? Wait. Which part of Arochukwu?
Agbagu. Agbagu.
Abagu. Okay. So just tell us what happened so that we don't have to ask you too many questions. We said just roll. Tell us what happened that day. The day you guys checked in, how you met him. Just tell us everything.
And so he asked me to get a shortlet where we can stay. So I got it, and then.
Babe, let her finish. Then what did she know? You ask. That's the only way we can make.
So I checked for it online, and then I sent to him. He said I should go check it out. Then I went to check it out, and then he paid for it. That was how it is that day.
Which day was that?
On Sunday.
Okay, from Sunday, what happened while you were together? Just tell us.
On Monday, we were together, drinking, smoking. We had fun. So I went to get food for all of us, both of us, I mean. And then that was what happened. Then on Tuesday, he was trying to make advances on me, which I was tired, but he became violent on it. So he got his way, which I let him. And then in the afternoon, towards afternoon, we ordered for smoke. And also roofies together. So that was what we took. And then we ate the food that we had on Monday. So we became high, and I wasn't happy for the first one he did, so I was still on my own, just smoking and drinking with my food that I've eaten. So he too was on his own couch. Then he came on to me while I was watching a movie. We were both watching a movie. So he came on to me and was like, I was like, no, that I'm not happy with what you did in the first one. And then I was like, you don't help me, you don't assist me in anything, but yet you just playing with me around. And then he was like, oh, okay, take my ATM now, I can go and withdraw what you want. And then he said the pin. I was like, that's not what I mean. That's not what I meant. So he became violent or trying to get to me, and I was resisting and defending myself. And at some point, he hit my head on the wall, and I also retaliated. And also, at some point, it was choking me, which I was on the kitchen cabinet. I lay on the kitchen cabinet while he was choking me, and then I stretched out the knife, and then I stabbed his neck.
And what else?
Sorry, please hold on.
Usifo is the third son in a family of 4. He has 2 elder brothers and a younger sister, and his siblings, they all live abroad. And Usifo grew up as a child who was raised by very good parents in a Christianly manner, and he's a guy who's always had business in his DNA. He's always liked to do business. But what I'll tell you about Usifo is that Usifo is very respectable. Usifo will never hurt a fly. Usifo loves people. Usifo goes beyond the immediate family to know his cousins, to know his uncles. I've had the very regrettable privilege of seeing that dead body 5 times. My cousin's hands were tied so badly that the rope entered his skin. The rope is right there as an exhibit with the police. That binding could not have been done by that lady alone. Not possible. Even if he was drugged, it is not possible, because I saw the lady and I saw my cousin. I said, this is not possible. Apart from the fact that he was tied, There were multiple stabs on his body. That is correct. Multiple. So that story of 2 stabs and neck is not true. He was stabbed in other places. His leg. In fact, in Yaba mortuary, the attendants were so dramatic that they told us clearly, the stabbing here was so bad that it's a hole. The guy stuck his 2 fingers into my cousin's body in my presence. I am serious. The Doppler vein, he was stabbed here deliberately. So whether he was just stabbed on the neck, no, he was stabbed on the Doppler vein twice. He was stabbed on his body multiply.
He doesn't talk much about himself. He's quite busy, like a busy person. I would say that at some point in time, he got to know that he likes to carry girls, and he smokes, he drinks, and takes drugs also. So I don't know deep about him. His character, he gets angry easily. He has issue with his wife. So, but his children is what is targeted as family man. He wasn't into happy married life or something. He was just more of catering for his kids. I can't remember some of his friends that I've met, but remember their faces kind of really, or their names, but I've met 2 people that I said friends something. I don't have 10 million in my bank account, so I have 400 or 500 accounts. Michael gave me his laptop. He had 2 laptops, so I told him that I wanted laptops, so he gave me one, and that was what I sold to get the money. It was a Mac Pro. I wasn't doing ushering when I was with him anymore. I was getting more from him than doing the ushering, so there was no need on ushering. Ushering can be 15k, 20k. It gives me more than the ushering.
What did you plan to do with the money?
The apartment where it was said it was leaking, so then they said I should go. They said it was free and I too was free, so let's fancy. It was Sunday on the 13th June. I decided to check online about the shortlets because it said that I didn't want hotel. There will not be Netflix, or it will not be fun, being in the house or something. So that was when I decided to check for a shortlet. So I sent it to him and he said it was okay. Then he said I should go check the place out. So I checked it and it was okay. Then he made payments. He sent 105. That was for 4 days. After I paid the money, so after 1 hour, he came. When he came, then we went to get food. We went out to eat and also get drinks. And we're just indoor, watching movie, drinking, smoking. He woke up before me, but I was still feeling sleepy and dizzy because of the smoke, drink, and the drug. So he asked what I need, what we need. So I was we need to buy food and drug because the drug that we brought already finished. He sends the money to their account. Why the other one? He gave me the card because I was trying to make payments and it didn't go through. So he gave me the card. I didn't have access to his card, but I know the PIN code. Before I was leaving, he stood up to lock the door. But when I got in, I was knocking. As there was no answer, I opened the door. Was already open, it wasn't locked, and the duvet was on the floor, plus pillows. The bed, the couch was facing the door, and the bed was stained with blood already, and the floor where it was blood, and then music was on, the TV was on. The room was already disarranged, someone broke in. Then I saw him on the floor. I didn't know what to do. I took my things with his thing and left. I was afraid. I didn't know if I have raised alarm, they would have arrested me for doing it because I and him were just the only people in the room. I just left. I was packing my things to leave. Then I noticed that my clothes was stained, so I changed it to another. I took the bag that contained his ID and documents, bank statements. My bag was already on the floor. I met my bag on the floor, and then the stuff it was with was on the TV set. That's where the stuff I took was on the TV set. So I just packed them and just put them into the nylon and left. I took his phone the following week. I was home, then I went out to withdraw some money from the ATM that I was with. I withdrew 200. Before that day, on Tuesday, he already told me that he's going to give me the money that I requested for. And when I came out, when I was arrested, and they were saying I made away with 5 million naira, there was no 5 million naira in the account. I just did it. It's not like I had something to do with his death. I never had anything to do with his death. The lady that I rented the apartment from, I had to message her that she should please probably send the security guy to check on him. That I haven't heard from him. That's what I said to her. And they came to my house and they arrested me, took me to station. I didn't involve anybody. I don't know who must have come into the apartment. Definitely somebody did that, but I don't know who that person is. I don't know what happened when I left to buy the food. I don't know. Because of the thing I did after not alerting police and then also withdrawing money, I feel guilty for what happened. I did not kill him. I'm not sure whether I did not kill him, but my doing, taking his money and not reporting the police, I believe that somebody knew where we were and then waited till I left before they could enter. The pressure and people, when I was confronting the security guy, and it was like, no, nobody entered into the apartment, that it was just me that entered into the apartment. And knowing full well of what I did, withdrawing his money, I just took the blame on myself. That
Founder of Sahara Reporters News Network, Omoyele Sowore and Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC on Tuesday took to social media to throw jabs or insults, criticisms at each other after EFCC refused to mention the names of the ex-top government official who was allegedly linked with the 753 houses Federal High Court in Abuja ordered the property's final forfeiture to federal government, and the exchange of words forced Sowore to make public court affidavit which EFCC investigative officers sworn before the court on November 21, 2024 and alleged that the 753 houses were probably acquired by the former Central Bank of Nigeria CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele apparently from the kickbacks he was fraudulently collecting from the Apex Bank contractors with close working with Zenith Bank Deputy General Manager Ifeanyi Collins Omeke to acquire the properties. EFCC investigative officers said that the commission became aware of the properties when they searched the office of the Zenith Bank Deputy General Manager Ifeanyi Collins Omeke and found title documents of the properties in his office. Verbatim, the EFCC investigative officers said, I, Idi Musa, Mel, Nigerian and investigating officer of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, 301 300 Seconds Institution and Research District, Jabi, Abuja, do solemnly and sincerely make oath and state as follows: that I am one of the operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission assigned to investigate the damning intelligence report received by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in respect of monumental fraudulent activities perpetrated by some senior officers of the Central Bank of Nigeria, through which huge sums of money were fraudulently converted and transferred for personal use. That I have the consent and authority of the Executive Chairman, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, to depose to the affidavit in support of this application. That by virtue of my position as one of the investigating officers assigned to investigate the said intelligence report, I am well conversant with the fact of this case, having derived my knowledge of the same in the course of my investigations. That I know as a fact and I verily believe as follows: A. That the Commission, whilst investigating the alleged monumental fraud carried out by the immediate past Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, and his cronies, traced and discovered several properties reasonably suspected to have been acquired and or developed with proceeds of unlawful activities. B. That the property highlighted in Schedule A to this application is one of the said properties recovered, having been reasonably suspected to have been acquired, developed with proceeds of unlawful activities. That in the course of this investigation, it was revealed that the erstwhile CBN governor negotiates kickbacks in return for allocation of foreign exchange to some companies who were in desperate need of foreign exchange for their lawful and legitimate businesses. D. That our investigation equally revealed that erstwhile CBN governor received kickbacks from some contractors who were awarded contracts by the Central Bank of Nigeria. E. That upon investigation, it was revealed that one Ifeanyi Omeke, a deputy general manager and head, litigation of Zenith Bank, PLC, worked closely with Godwin Emefiele and ran several errands for him, which included purchase and perfection of title documents for several properties located in highbrow areas of Lagos and Abuja. F. That upon a search conducted in the office premises of Mr. Ifeanyi Collins Omeke by the operatives of the Commission, several property title documents were recovered which investigation revealed were purchased with sums traced and reasonably believed to be proceeds of unlawful activities, to wit, kickback from allocation of foreign exchange and award of contract. G. That upon conclusion of investigation, the Commission applied to the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos to forfeit the properties located and situate in Lagos recovered from Mr. Ifeanyi Collins Omeke. Properties investigation revealed were purchased with sums traced and reasonably believed to be proceeds of unlawful activities. That during the course of the search at the office premises of Mr. Ifeanyi Collins Omeke by the operatives of the Commission highlighted in paragraph 4(e) above, the Commission also recovered title documents of a landed property measuring 150,462.86 meters square line and situate in Abuja as highlighted in Schedule A to this application. The title and other relevant documents in relation to this property recovered from Ifeanyi Omeke are attached and marked Exhibit EFCC 01. That sequel to the facts in paragraph 5 above, the Commission wrote a letter of investigation activity to the Abuja Geographical Information Systems (AGIS) requesting for a search on the said property. That on the 17th day of September 2024, the said property was located with the assistance of a surveyor from AGIS using search results and coordinates. That upon locating the said property and names of persons to have ever associated with the property, letters of investigation were sent to relevant banks requesting for the opening packages of the said companies used in funding and developing the said property. That investigation further revealed that the said property has been abandoned and deserted with only a guard manning the said property since June 2023 upon the arrest of the erstwhile CBN governor. That I know as a fact and verily believed that further investigations revealed the following: that the said land known as Plot 109, line and situate at Cadastral Zone C09 was initially allocated to Windermere Nigeria Limited on the 15th day of September 2010 for mass housing development. That the title of the said property was later transferred to MG Property Limited via an executed deed of assignment. That sometime in August 2021, the said MG Properties transferred its title to H&Y Business Global Limited. That the said H&Y Business Global Limited is also being investigated for acquiring one of the properties forfeited in the interim by the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos, for the sum of 2,200,000 nairas, 00000 from Nigeria Linting and Printing Limited for and on behalf of the then Central Bank of Nigeria Governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele. That monies H&Y Business Global Limited used for the acquisition of the property were not from their legitimate income but rather were fraudulently procured by Godwin Emefiele and his cronies to disguise and conceal the unlawful origin of the funds used in the acquisition of the properties. That further investigations revealed that 3 different companies were used in paying and acquiring the property, now sought to be finally forfeited to the federal government of Nigeria. That Ifedigo Integrated Services is one of the 3 companies used in the acquisition of the property sought to be forfeited. That in the course of the fraudulent acquisition of the property sought to be forfeited, Ifedigo Integrated Services was procured to transfer the sum of 900 million nairas reasonably suspected to be proceeds of unlawful activities to the account of MG Properties Limited. The account statement evidencing the said payment is hereby attached and marked Exhibit EFCCO2. That the second company that was procured and used in the acquisition of the property sought to be forfeited is Kelvito Integrated Service. That the said Kelvito Integrated Service transferred the sum of 700 million nairas reasonably suspected to be proceeds of unlawful activities to MG Properties Limited. The account statement evidencing the said payment is hereby attached and marked Exhibit EFCCO3. That the third company used in the fraudulent acquisition of the property sought to be forfeited is One Ice Frozen Food and Ventures. That the said Ice Frozen Food and Ventures was procured to retain and transfer the sum of 600 million nairas reasonably suspected to be proceed of unlawful activities to MG Properties Limited for the acquisition of the said property, now sought to be forfeited in the interim to the federal government of Nigeria. That MG Properties received the aggregate sum of 2,200,000,000 nairas from Ifedigo Integrated Services, Kelvito Integrated Service and Ice Frozen Food and Ventures via its account. The account statement of MG Properties evidencing the said payment is hereby attached and marked Exhibit EFCCO4. That the said 3 companies used for the payment the property are enmeshed in criminal maneuvering of layering proceeds of illegal activities of Mr. Godwin Emefiele. That the directors of Ifedigo Integrated Services and Kelvito Integrated Service were arrested and their statement voluntarily obtained in the course of investigation. The said extrajudicial statements are hereby attached and marked Exhibit EFCCO5 and B respectively. That further investigations regarding the alleged fraudulent acquisition of the property sought to be forfeited revealed as follows. That one Mr. Eric Ocheme, the personal assistant to Mr. Emefiele, procured Richard Akulu, a vault administrator and cash officer of Zenith Bank PLC, Maitama Branch, Abuja to London millions of naira for Mr. Godwin Emefiele monies suspected to be illegal kickbacks from allocation of foreign exchange deals and award of contract by the CBN. That said Mr. Agulu also procured his friends to open a bank account which could be used to receive proceeds of unlawful activities of Mr. Godwin Emefiele. That to achieve this sinister aim, Mr. Agulu hoodwinks old friends such as one Mr. Peter Adeyemi to open bank accounts to receive proceeds of unlawful activities. That one Mr. Christopher Emefiele, the promoter of the Emis Properties Nigeria Limited and close ally of Mr. Godwin Emefiele, was invited by the commission. He volunteered his statement and confirmed that the said Mr. Eric Ocheme, the personal assistant to Mr. Godwin Ifeanyi Emefiele, contacted him to act as consultant for the development of the property highlighted in Schedule A2. This application now sought to be finally forfeited. Attached and marked Exhibit EFCC 06 is the extrajudicial statement of the said Mr. Christopher Emefiele that the development of the property was directly handled by Eric Ocheme for his principal Mr. Godwin Emefiele. That payment and purchase, miscellaneous and development of the property sought to be forfeited was conducted through bank transfers and cash via proxy accounts with proceeds of illegal activities. That part of the proceeds received by the accounts fraudulently opened to facilitate unlawful activities are illegal funds that were used to acquire the property sought to be forfeited. That the title documents of the property highlighted in Schedule A to this application was handed over to Ifeanyi Omeke by Godwin Emefiele. That the funds used in the acquisition of the property highlighted in Schedule A to this application are not legitimate earnings of Godwin Emefiele but monies acquired through illegal and unlawful activities. That I know as a fact and verily believe that the source, origin of the funds used in the acquisition and or development of the properties sought to be forfeited are proceeds of unlawful activities, to wit, corrupt enrichment, receiving of gratification or kickbacks and abuse of office, EFCC stated. Apparently angered by Showere's statement of campaign against EFCC for not disclosing the names of the suspected former top government official, EFCC in a press release said, "The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, is following with keen interest the flurry of reactions to its record-breaking recovery of 753 duplexes and other apartments on Plot 109 Cadastral Zone CO9, Lokogoma District, Abuja." The commentaries of reform-minded Nigerians to the Commission's painstaking efforts in securing the final forfeiture of the estate to the federal government of Nigeria are appreciated. However, the denigration of such efforts by Omoyele Sowore and his think Sem and act Sem is unacceptable and grossly uncharitable. The allegation of a cover-up of the identity of the promoters of the estate stands logic on the held in the sense that the proceedings for the forfeiture of the estate were in line with Section 17 of the Advance Fee Fraud Act, which is a civil proceeding that allows for action in rem rather than action in personam. The latter allows legal actions against a property and not an individual, especially in a situation of an unclaimed property. This act allows you to take up a forfeiture proceeding against a chattel that is not a juristic person. This is exactly what the Commission did in respect of the estate. The proceedings that yielded the final forfeiture of the estate were products of actionable intelligence available to the Commission. The company flagged by our investigations denied ownership of the estate following publications made in leading national newspapers. On the basis of this, the Commission approached the court for an order of final forfeiture, which Justice Jude Onwuebuzi of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, High Court granted on Monday, December 2, 2024. The expectation of the EFCC from citizen Sowore is a patriotic appreciation of its efforts in securing such a landmark forfeiture. It is shocking that the activist is not concerned about the systemic lassitude and unhelpful permissiveness that allowed such a monstrous corrupt act in the first instance. Nigerians should gear up more against lapses and loopholes in our system that continue to make the nation vulnerable to corrupt tendencies. The EFCC will continue to safeguard the financial space of the nation against manipulators and organized brigandage. It is important to note that the substantive criminal investigation on the matter still continues. It will be unprofessional of the EFCC to go to town by mentioning names of individuals whose identities were not directly linked to any title document of the properties. The EFCC is unwavering in its no sacred cow approach to every matter, and together we will make Nigeria greater. Dele Oyewale, Heard, Media and Publicity, EFCC stated on December 3, 2024 as published on the EFCC social media handles. Sowore Omoyele took to the comment section of the EFCC X social media handle, stated below and attached court affidavit sworn and used by EFCC to apply before Federal High Court in Abuja for the final forfeiture of the 753 houses. This is the most reckless and irresponsible statement I've read from a government agency in a long while. The assertions here are also patently irresponsible. I have obtained court proceedings and an affidavit sworn to by EFCC investigator who named the names of those behind this real estate fraud. I maintain that referring to the person, Godwin Emefiele, smarts of an attempt to cover up his misdeeds and those of his collaborators. The truth is that the court proceedings tell otherwise. I will attach some court documents here so the public can see the EFCC as the service in this matter, Sowore words end. In quote, we had reported that a federal high court in Abuja has ruled and ordered a final forfeiture of 753 houses allegedly built with proceeds of fraud or fraudulent practices by a top ex-government official or named by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, while the suspect whose names were not disclosed in public domain remained under investigation. The court ruled that the suspect could not give convincing reasons why the properties should not be forfeited to federal government as requested by EFCC. EFCC in a news release on Monday said, the assets is the single largest asset recovery ever made by the Commission since its creation in 2003. Details of the news release as made available by EFCC Media Unit where EFCC said its chairman, Ola Olukoyede has ordered the Commission operatives to commence recovery of properties suspected to have been acquired with proceeds of fraud once a suspect is under investigation reads verbatim below. Justice Chidimma Ojukwu, on Monday, December 2, 2024 gave a ruling on a final forfeiture of an estate in Abuja measuring 150,500 square meters and containing 753 units of duplexes and other apartments. This is the single largest asset recovery by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, since its inception in 2003. The estate rests on Plot 109 Cadastral Zone CO9, Lokogoma District, Abuja. The forfeiture of the property to the federal government by a former top brass of the government was pursuant to EFCC's mandate and policy directive of ensuring that the corrupt and fraudulent do not enjoy the proceeds of their unlawful activities. In this instance, the Commission relied on Section 17 of the Advance Fee Fraud and Other Fraud-Related Offences Act No. 14, 2006 and Section 44, 2b of the Constitution of the 199 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to push its case. Ruling on the Commission's application for the final forfeiture of the property, Justice Ojukwu held that the respondent have not shown cause as to why he should not lose the property, which has been reasonably suspected to have been acquired with proceeds of unlawful activities. The property is hereby finally forfeited to the federal government. The road to the final forfeiture of the property was paved by an interim forfeiture order, secured before the same judge on November 1, 2024. The government official which fraudulently built the estate is being investigated by the EFCC. The forfeiture of the asset is an important modality of depriving the suspect of the proceeds of the crime. The justification for the forfeiture is derived from Part 2, Section 7 of the EFCC Establishment Act, which stipulates that the EFCC has power to cause investigations to be conducted as to whether any person, corporate body or organization has committed any offense under this act or other law relating to economic and financial crimes and cause investigations to be conducted into the properties of any person if it appears to the Commission that the person's lifestyle and extent of the properties are not justified by his source of income. Lawmakers in South Korea on Wednesday submitted a bill for the impeachment of President Yoon Suk-yeol for declaring martial law on Tuesday night, invading National Assembly complex with masked martial law military troops to stop reps from overturning or overruling the declaration. But the ruling People Power Party, PPP held an emergency meeting later on Wednesday and resolved to unite and stand as huddle against the call for Yoon's impeachment. Local media reported that the decision to stand as huddle to the opposition party's lawmakers' impeachment notice against Yoon was made at a meeting of the ruling PPP lawmakers, who endorsed the party's position of opposing President Yoon's impeachment, according to Seoul-based Yonhap News Media. According to local media, Yoon had earlier met with Prime Minister Han Duck-soo and other PPP leaders on Wednesday to discuss future strategy after opposition parties filed an impeachment motion in response to the brief martial law declaration late Tuesday evening and Wednesday early morning night. Political observers in South Korea said that the impeachment motion must receive a two-thirds majority in parliament to be approved. The opposition will need 8 votes from ruling party lawmakers out of the 300 lawmakers in the National Assembly to pass the bill. Yoon's declaration of martial law is a clear violation of the Constitution, the Democrats' party wrote in a resolution seeking Yoon's impeachment, according to the South Korean news agency, Yonhap. This is a serious act of rebellion and a perfect reason for impeachment, the Democrats stated. For the impeachment to take effect, lawmakers now have 24 to 72 hours to vote on whether to oust the president. Notably, no PPP lawmakers supported the impeachment motion, though the head of the party expressed exasperation with the martial law decree on Tuesday. According to Yonhap, given the current makeup of the assembly, 8 PPP lawmakers would have to defect to give the motion the two-thirds majority it requires to remove Yoon. Reuters through its Facebook page showed a live broadcast view of South Korea's parliament after South Korean lawmakers submitted the bill to impeach President Yoon Suk-yeol. CNN also identified a woman in a video that has gone viral as Ngwi Ryung, a journalist turned lawmaker scuffling with an armed soldier outside South Korea's parliament building during the political turmoil on Wednesday early morning night, and is the spokesperson for the main opposition Democratic Party and former anchor on broadcaster YTN. It would be recalled that parliament members in South Korea battled soldiers to get inside their building at 1 a.m. after the country's president declared emergency martial law, blaming Democratic opponents for bringing his conservative government to a standstill and, without proof, colluding with North Korea. Lawmakers blocked the president's declaration unanimously with 190 votes to 0, for the parliament members who were able to force their way into the National Assembly hall midnight. President Yoon, elected in a bitterly fought election in 2022, declared martial law on television on Tuesday night, a widely unexpected move that shocked the nation and international observers. Yoon argued that legislative obstruction by the opposition Democratic Party had turned the National Assembly into a den of criminals and necessitated military action. I declare martial law to protect the Republic of Korea from the threats of North Korean Communist forces. To immediately eradicate the unscrupulous pro-Pyongyang anti-state forces that pillage the freedom and happiness of our people and to protect free constitutional order, Yoon stated during the declaration on Tuesday night on national television. The Democratic Party-controlled National Assembly rapidly sprung into action, flooding into legislative chambers while blocking heavily armed soldiers who have stated that, under martial law, political assemblies were illegal. The Democrats have controlled the assembly since April, when they won regional elections against the Conservatives in a landslide. We had earlier reported that protesters flooded streets, demanding President Yoon Suk-yeol's resignation after a long night of military and civilian show of force in South Korea from 11 p.m. on Tuesday night and almost throughout entire early morning night of Wednesday when 190 lawmakers from opposition political party including 18 from the president political party, jumped fences to convey important and urgent parliamentary meeting after President Yoon Suk-yeol declared martial law in the country and ordered masked martial law troops with rifles to invade the National Assembly of the fourth Asian largest economic country to stop the lawmakers. But, the soldiers met a stiffer civilian barricades who engaged the soldiers with fire extinguishers at the National Assembly complex and hold them back until the lawmakers successfully held the plenary session and voted to outlaw the president martial law declaration. Videos posted online showed thousands of South Korean protesters held a candlelight vigil and rally in downtown Seoul streets against President Yoon Suk-yeol, who has been in office since 2022 to resign. Protesters held up signs that read, "Step down President Yoon Suk-yeol," as people and lawmakers attend a rally in Seoul, the South Korea capital, according to Reuters international news agency. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol had on Tuesday declared martial law, vowing to eradicate shameless pro-North Korean anti-state forces and restore order. Martial law was last declared in the country in 1979. Soon after the declaration, protests broke out in Seoul and thousands gathered at the National Assembly with South Korea's main opposition party lawmakers, and some ruling party lawmakers jumped fences and tussled with security forces so they could vote to overturn the law. According to Reuters, thousands of demonstrators gathered outside the parliament where there were minor clashes with police and military. Lawmakers gathered to vote against martial law, as both opposition lawmakers and leaders of Yoon's own party decried it as unconstitutional. All 190 of the lawmakers present voted to lift martial law, including 18 from Yoon's own party. Yoon ordered troops to pull back and later lifted the decree after convening a cabinet meeting. 190 of the National Assembly's 300 members defied police and military cordons to vote against the declaration, forcing Yoon to lift the martial law order. The move late on Tuesday shocked South Koreans, with Yoon calling in the military, which released a decree banning protests and activity by parliament and political parties, and placing media under government control, according to Reuters. The international news agency added that the military named Army Chief of Staff, General Park An-soo, a 4-star general, to head a martial law command and released the decree effective at 11 p.m. on Tuesday. Besides banning political activity and restricting the media, the decree also ordered striking doctors back to work. Those who violate martial law could be arrested without a warrant, it said. Masked martial law troops equipped with rifles, body armor and night vision equipment entered the National Assembly, where the first of with staffers who opposed them with fire extinguishers. Secretary General of South Korea's National Assembly, Kim Min-ki, condemned the military on Wednesday morning for breaking into the legislature during President Yoon Suk-yeol's brief imposition of martial law, saying that nearly 300 troops had stormed the compound. Kim Min-ki said at a news briefing that, "I strongly condemn the illegal, unconstitutional actions of the military and the destruction it caused at the National Assembly premises due to President Yoon's decree of martial law." He vowed to seek legal remedies for the damage caused, and he said the police, who prevented some lawmakers from entering the building overnight, would be barred from the premises. Kim offered the most detailed official account yet of the military's incursion, saying, "About 230 troops were flown by helicopter onto the assembly grounds, and roughly 50 others jumped fences to gain entry," he said. Kim played closed-circuit footage of soldiers entering the compound at the news briefing, saying that all sorts
bringing you the news in a more digital way.